Mark this down. That's the first ridiculous and outlandish thing said on this podcast. There's something under the bed. Yeah. Hey everyone. This is the very first episode of Something's Under the Bed podcast. We are your hosts. I am Hernandez.
Marky.
And Obi.
And we just wanted to start a podcast, talk about more than horror movies, what we think makes a horror movie. We're going to talk about certain ones, what we think hits genres, and just talking about different things, what we appeal to and what appeals to us, and just things that you guys probably might not have heard of, little hidden gems that we've seen, and we're going to give just little updates on that, and then just talk about what we think about films and what we think makes a film good. And even though some films are really shitty, they're very entertaining, and
we still like them.
We still love them. We love them. The shittier the better.
And I think that's what a good thing about a podcast is. It's just like you may be listening, like he said, and then found something that you've never
even heard of,
and you watch it and it's your new favorite
I feel
movie.
like we've had a lot of those moments,
just
discussing this, movies we haven't seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Different sides of what you see and how you take it, what makes a horror movie to you, what makes you scared.
Right, like points of views also. You're watching a horror movie and you're thinking, oh, it's not that scary because of this. And then I tell you, well, didn't you look at it like this? Or well, imagine you're a child and you're watching, oh, yeah, I could see how it might be more frightening.
Well, this is kind of how you roped me into this.
Well,
right?
yeah.
We were outside.
Yeah.
And I said, such and such was a shitty ass horror movie.
Oh,
and
boy.
you said, oh, B.
I was shocked. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I was like,
which has happened multiple times with us at this point. It's like I've said some stuff that was like, I think this series is trash. It only has 3 good movies, and you guys, I thought, were gonna bite my head off. And it's gonna be really fun when we get really into the details of those episodes, for sure.
Absolutely. I think we should start just going around and then just talk about a first movie maybe we watched when we were young or whatever. Just what got us into
the horror genre.
What made us fans of it? Obi, you start.
Okay, so I took our assignment, I call it our homework assignment. I did more, like I told you guys, like past, present, and current. You know what I mean? What horror movie was I able to see? Because my first horror movie, I was very young. I went to church a lot, so I was hanging out with a lot of my
cool
kids,
cool kids, yeah.
Cool kids, Napoleon Dynamite,
another cool kid, King of the
Dance
Cool Kids.
Revolution, you know
what I mean? Wow.
There was one song, that was my shit. I remember the steps to this, and it was not hard. It wasn't the slow, but it was definitely the medium.
I've never played Dance Revolution.
Okay, so then
I can't touch it. I've never played, so I've never.
No,
done.
I never played, and I never made fun of dorks who did. So
it's intense. It was the coolest thing you could do.
You start sweating. It's like a workout
as a church kid. Yeah.
Well, you have to.
Because there are other things. I think church kids were.
No.
They have to let out certain things, and if dance is a good way to funnel that, dance instead of.
And I did. And I was that little dancer.
Dance the shit out of DDI.
So that's where it takes me. So this is my first story. So we would go to the library and pick out movies and DVDs. Remember that?
Classic.
And I was tired of watching these boring, church movies and stuff like that. So I begged my pastor's wife to get this movie, Stephen King, Rose Red. You know what I mean? It was such an old movie. It was old VHS, 2 tapes. Part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, damn right.
Part 1 and part 2. Because recently you saw it, Hernandez, and you got the luxury of just seeing the thing once 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
It was on YouTube.
It was on YouTube part 3.
I just watched it. It was 3 parts on YouTube.
Okay, I'm so sorry. But I did VHS and, make sure that thing was rewind to get the full effect. But that was my first horror movie that I liked. It's very cheesy. as an adult, you know what I mean? It's very cheesy compared to what we see now. But I feel completely different now.
It's practically Care Bears compared to what we're seeing now.
I feel like you can't compare those older movies to what movies are being made now, just because it's a different time.
Well, yeah. But like electronics and video and audio. So
that was the movie you would say that got you into the horror.
This is what pulled me into it.
Okay.
Hey, that's not a bad first one. I'm jealous.
No, I didn't listen. Look, I was surprised she said yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was that or Will and Grace. People hate the gays more than the horror.
Homophobia is wrong,
yes.
But every now and then, it opens a door
to Stephen King.
To Stephen King, not to align with poor Stephen King.
I feel like what got me into the horror genre is gonna be. It's so funny because we were just talking shit about my dad because he was a bad guy. He's dead now. But he used to tell us scary stories, and he would scare us. And we would drive through Pilcher Park, and he would tell us about this naked lady who runs alongside of cars.
So you had a ghetto horror story.
Yeah. So my dad would tell us these stories, and I was so excited. I loved to be scared. So he showed me The Exorcist. That was my first introduction into a horror movie.
Wow.
Scared the shit out of me.
How old were you?
Oh, fuck. 6? I was 6.
All right.
Your dad didn't love you for sure.
No.
I think scared you were going to say he was going to leave you shortly after.
No, he just beat us, and then he left us.
So he's better at scary stories.
Yeah. Being a father, for sure.
So the horror movie was actually bonding, baby.
It was.
Now that you think he was beating you, and he was there.
That was a bonding moment between me and my abusive father. And yeah, I think that actually I loved being scared.
Okay.
So I was hooked.
Now, because it was less scary than your father. No, we're not. We're not gonna go there.
We'll say that for the Patreon. We're going to go horror and fear. Are they the same thing?
They are.
In a child's eyes, they are the same. Okay, but real quick, how old were you when you saw Red Rose?
Probably about time.
About 10?
Yeah. Because I was altered, yeah.
So 10, and then we have about 6. My mother, God rest her soul, showed me a movie. One of my first memories.
She's not dead.
I mean, she's not. She pushes every now and then. No, my mother. It's one of my first memories, actually, which is, she talked shit about me and my parenting skills. It's one of my first memories. She showed me a movie called Fright Night, and that I remember because I had a couple nightmares about it. And then when I saw it when I was a little older, say about 10 or 11, I was like, I've seen this. And then all the memories came back. We sit on the couch, it was late. We had cupcakes, Hostess cupcakes, and she let me watch this movie way past midnight. And I was like, I just remember being so dark, and I'm just like, now I'm like, why did she do this? I was like,
she had the cupcake.
I know.
A little jealous.
I know she had.
All we got were the beatings and the Exorcist. You got fucking Hostess cupcakes
and mom.
Right? Yeah, you're right. I'd rather, pre-diabetic, but yeah, I guess I would have preferred to have no blood sugar and beaten, maybe.
Daddy issues.
0.
He's like, no daddy.
Zero daddy issues.
I also have mommy issues.
I
got no issues.
I'm perfect. Mommy.
Because I have no real mother and no real father.
I raised myself. That's what I come to the world. They come to the world.
That's why I'm practically perfect. You don't need parents.
How old were you?
I don't think I was even 5 years old. That's what I'm saying. It's one of my first memories. I was maybe 4, maybe 3. Maybe it was one of those nights where,
you said you were that's how you felt terrified.
I remember seeing several of the scenes where their jaws would. Do you remember the scene where the girl, her jaw opens and it has all these extra teeth? And I saw that face when I shut my eyes for many moons. And I just remember being just terrified. So it wasn't a thing where I saw it and I loved it. I'm not going to lie. I saw it and I was terrified, and I didn't like things like that, and I was playing with nightmares. But I don't know, somewhere along the line, I just saw a couple more. I saw things like Silver Bullet, another Stephen King movie.
Yeah.
And then The Shining. I would just see these pop randoms, and all of a sudden something just flipped. It just flipped, and then all of a sudden I was hooked. I loved it, even at that young age. And a lot of them I did see with my dad when he was passed out. He would put it on. My mom would. Then all of a sudden,
it's not even sneaking. No.
He'd put it on when he passed out, and my mom would come in and be like, "What are you letting me watch this for?" And I was like, "Mom, you shouldn't be frightening." I was like 3 years old. 3 years old, and it turned out when she was a kid, her mother took her to see Exorcist at the theaters. Yeah, the shit. But
movie.
it's an old movie. She took her when her and her sister were young. She took her to see the Exorcist at the theaters. So
That's not bad.
it's not bad now.
Okay, so we talked about it, and let's give like a taste of what our favorite horror movies
Sure,
are.
yeah,
so we
absolutely.
tried to narrow it down to 3.
Yeah.
Well, we tried and it was
I
shit.
had the hard. It took me up until last night.
Yeah.
Actually, probably this morning.
Yeah.
To really
narrowed it down.
What did you pick?
So this movie probably is like the movie I could probably rewatch with no issues. Like I feel like
That's how you pick
it's a good classic horror movie. Like it's something I put on to go to bed to. You know what I mean? Even if I don't catch the whole thing, it's a good movie. So it's gonna be Night of the Living Dead.
The original
George A.
Romero.
Yeah.
Black and white.
Black and white. Classic.
Excellent.
It's good. It's not. I wouldn't even say it's like terrifying. It's almost like a gateway
Sure.
into horror movies, like how the aspects, what they were trying to do to create, and with the like. I would want to say little material because I'm sure they had big sets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even there was like that one where I believe he's like next to like the woman opens the door and he's turned and like it's like
that sound effect.
It's like
It's intense.
someone caught you with your hands down your pants.
Yeah.
And I just like that, like how like the zombies are. They move slow. They didn't have special effects like or CGI to create these like unauthentic. These were real people.
I think they were going for realism because these people were dead and now they're back alive. So rigor mortis has set in, so they can't be fried. They're stiff as a board.
Iron Legend, like no, they're not.
Like I almost put that on my favorites list.
See, and this is where I thought, like, when I saw this horror movie, and I'm like, you know what? Zombie apocalypse, if that shit ever happened, they're moving so fucking slow.
Yeah.
I'd survive. But War Z, those fuckers are running the shit after you. Look, you'd survive, because they didn't kill people with, like, illnesses.
Yeah, you have to have like an illness.
Male pattern baldness. I think they would have had.
That is the big illness.
That's it. Oh, well, I would say it's a big one. I would say it's a big one. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. No, you said it was a big one.
Like, maybe you put your...
I was like letting it air out so everyone go all over it. I don't hold that to you. Like, no, it's a big fucking problem. It's disgusting. You're disgusting. Okay, all right. I'm gonna drink this. Continue that. Yeah, the George Romero. I mean, he's a legend.
Yeah. Romero is
Absolute legend, and yeah, it's like just the practical effects, like you said, big sets, but probably not much budget. Minimum.
No, but I feel like they did give
nailed
the
it.
sense.
And like you said, it wasn't terrifying, but I would use the word eerie.
Yeah.
There's something
It's black and white.
eerie.
It's black and
beautiful.
white.
I love it.
The
I
angle,
love
the
it.
shadow.
They released it shortly after in color. Don't bother. Don't bother.
It takes away the.
It's taking the soul out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll still eat it. It's still edible. It's food, but where's the plate?
Yeah. Okay. So I say nice.
That's a good.
That's black and white.
Solid first choice. That's a solid first choice.
Solid. Are we going to go 1-1-1, or are we going to go through all three?
Okay.
I think 1-1-1.
My number one. Obviously, and it's not going to be a surprise to anyone, is Scream.
I thought you were going to say Pet Sematary.
No, it's Scream. It is Scream. It is my favorite horror movie. That's the only one that I had on my list from day one. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. I love it.
It's good. It's good. I like it, but now it's like overplayed.
I think
You know, it's
that-
almost like up there with the Fast and the Furious. Like,
Write this down. That's the first ridiculous and outlandish thing said on the podcast. That's the first. Mark that down.
so
one at a time.
I'm going to agree to an extent.
Okay.
I think that because they revived it with Scream 4, 5, and 6, it became so much more popular with a newer crowd who went back maybe and watched the first 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the 4, 5, and 6 really brought a new perspective to the movies and brought a new crowd in. I'm not saying I like 4, 5, and 6.
Did you like the series? I watched the series out of TV.
I forgot there was a
Did you ever-
series.
yeah.
I don't think
I watched
enough
the
to watch.
first.
And I feel like maybe that's where it was just like too much.
That's why I feel like. Listen, Wes Craven is my favorite director.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's really like he literally can do no wrong in my eyes, and I do feel like the first Scream movie.
Mark her words. Literally can do no wrong.
It might be Hollywood.
Sorry, kids.
Signing off on shitty movies.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, come on. Have you seen the sequels to some of these movies? No, I think the first one is very well done. Even the second and the third one, I'll even say they're very well done.
3 is cat for me. Like, no, it's not my. Scrolling through the night, I'm gonna rewatch this again.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it maybe twice. The first one, and then anything after, no one.
You know, it's really, I think what makes Scream is it's so, he knows he's a horror director, so he's going to put all of his classic cliches in this movie, and they're going to talk about them. And I think that's why I liked it. It's because, you know, you have, you know, them talk, well, this is what happens in a horror movie, and everything they say happens in a horror movie happens in that movie. And I think it's funny. And I love all of the actors in it. I don't think there's an actor in there that I really don't like.
Okay.
I like them all. I love the bad guys. I love how you really don't know who like Ghostface is
Like
until
we would consider that horror suspense because
I consider
I think it's a little bit of both.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it has. I think so what elevates a horror movie is if you can throw in another factor like suspense. I think you got a winner there.
Right.
Because a horror movie, you can make anything horrible, but if you can somehow get you the person in the scene, like what's gonna happen next, who is it? You get them in the palm of your hand. That's.
And that's kind of like how like I chose my favorites too. Is like what movies do I go back to? Or what are like I feel like Scream is my comfort movie. If I'm bored, if I'm like I want to watch a horror movie and I don't know what to watch, I'm gonna put on Scream.
Okay.
That is my comfort movie. I love that movie. I just love that movie.
I guess I get what you're saying, Laura. They can't.
Actually, I've never fucked with that movie because I love it too much. I can watch it.
Yeah, it's like stop, get off my feet. Who is this on the screen? No, I guess there's something off about him, but I get it. He has an animal thing about him. He's a good looking chick. I get why the chicks were.
He definitely has like something about him that makes you like, oh, I get it.
It's the classic 90s, the 90s,
It's
where he just wears a
90s,
white t-shirt
yeah.
and jeans.
Yeah.
He's got the slick back hair.
The hair,
He does this a lot. You know, he does this weird little gangly skeleton. He does like this little thing when he's back, and he's like, whoa. You don't think it was still me? He does like this weird little gangly thing. But I get it, because I can't take my eyes off him. And I do get what you're saying now about the Fast and the Furious one. At first I thought we were talking like Scream, like we were talking about like Scream 1.
No, I think
we were talking about the Scream legacy. The Scream.
They're diluting it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Oh, no.
They're
I'm with you.
diluting like that sound. And then especially with the new ones, with some of the newer actresses and actors, it's like I wouldn't watch it. Like, ooh,
Yeah, because I feel like
that would be good for them.
they're the great.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
No, I agree 100%. I think you gotta have the right people, and I think like Sydney's character was fantastic. I don't think they haven't hit one yet.
No, not in that series.
In that series, they haven't really nailed it. They tried in the fifth one, fell flat on their face. If you ask me, let's not talk about that. Let's do another episode. But yeah, solid first choice. I love Scream. It's fantastic. For you guys, choices are excellent. Mine's, I wouldn't say weird, but I just went with like you said, rewatchability.
Okay.
You can put it on, like you said, like you can put it on, whatever. I saw this when I was young, and I was fascinated about it. The Thing. I love John Carpenter. You said Wes Craven's your guy?
Yeah.
John Carpenter is my guy.
John Carpenter is solid.
He is he's just a genius, and most of his like the movies that I can name off the top of my head, besides having great story, whatever practical, but I love it. But they all have another thing in common: that score, that music.
Okay.
Every single one.
So that kind of builds it up. So if it's not a good
Halloween, the Fall, Prince of Darkness, They Live, Thing, they all have a like cool but creepy dun dun.
Because that sets the tone for where you're like, oh, I know this shit.
That's the thing. The thing is dun 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 dun. It's they're isolated. That is where like I don't want to be in open water. I'm afraid of open water. Number 2 is in Antarctica.
No,
Being in the middle of Antarctica.
No.
Something goes wrong.
Michigan.
You are you're dead.
And I don't want to be in the
You're dead.
And I jumped in the water, and I was at playpad, and you can't see the bottom of the fucking lake. And it wasn't until maybe like 30 seconds. I'm just proud I'm like staying floating. You know what I mean? And I sat there and thinking like, what the fuck is the bottom of this? Like, how deep does
I would get
go?
back into that boat.
I got scared, and I looked at my friend. I'm like, bitch, what do you have me doing out here? Like, no.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's technically a classic horror movie trope. Girl goes swimming in the lake with her friend.
Have you seen the opening of Jaws? Like,
I mean,
but that's clear. That's clear.
Jaws? No, not the opening. Not in the opening of Jaws.
Okay.
No, actually, yeah, no, Mark's sort of right. They budget. They had a huge budget, but like they tried to set the tone where you didn't need to see the shark.
Yeah.
Well, you see her dragging down in the music. But yeah, John Carpenter's my guy, and The Thing, I love The Thing. They're isolated. They don't know who to trust because the alien can replicate and make you don't know who to trust. That's the worst. You don't know who to trust. I just fell in love with them. Aliens. They're always freaking me out, and especially now what's going on.
Now that aliens exist, they're finally admitting that aliens exist.
I never said they didn't. I just
I'm talking about the government.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I prefer to not know, but
I'm sorry. It's a solid choice.
I think so. Okay.
Solid choice.
It's a little older, but yeah, I love it.
No, they remade it too.
Yeah, which what's bad actually? It's not bad.
It is technically a prequel. I started it, but I did not get
I'm almost like so rebellious. Like if it was good, like don't knock it. Like if it's already good. What's that saying?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Number 2. What do you think?
My like current movie, like I said, it's not the movie that maybe, but I feel like this is probably the movie that maybe put a little fear in my heart. You know what I mean? And that's very hard. It would be Sinister.
Nice.
Sinister. So I saw this in the movie theater. It was the first time, and it actually made me jump. So like the part that made me jump was the lawn mowing.
Yeah, the snuff film. I knew you were gonna say it was the snuff film.
And I'm like, okay, like do the guy, the little boy's lawn mowing. What a good child. And
What a good child.
my type of people are different. Everyone's different. And then a couple seconds later, it cuts to his family, rough mow them frick over, and I was like, that this made me a little afraid of children. Like,
It was the scene where the boy's in the box, and then he like pops out all weird in the store, and I was like, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But this is probably because like children scare me sometimes. You know what I mean? And this was a lot of children. It just shows how manipulated they can be. And that's concerning. You know what I mean? Because we all have children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you're right. I don't think I'm Oh, good to that was such a good point. I think with the children, it showed it, but for me, when I saw it, it kind of broke my heart a little because, like, I think about all the, the kids that are being easily manipulated, easily shaped into something terrible, and then they're going to grow up and become something terrible.
They don't grow up. They die.
They die.
Oh, in Sinister. Oh, I'm talking about in real life. But
No,
yeah.
we're not talking about.
No. In Sinister.
But I mean, we're getting
Too deep. Horror and we're right here.
But no, you're right. 100%. Too deep. The obvious for pussies. But the snuff film, because there was no sound. It was just on that Super 8 film, and it's just Ethan Hawke.
And then the eerie music you always hear.
Yeah.
I can't even recreate that, but
And that movie was so good that because the deity, the bad guy, the ghoul, he's so lame and so forgettable, but yet that film, I agree, is probably, I think, the last movie that scared me.
Yeah.
Every other movie is like, oh, that was so good, or like, oh, that was cool. That movie scared me.
I agree. Like Sinister, I think like at that time that it came out, we were getting a bunch of movies that were just like for the horror genre that were just not good, and it was really bad for horror movies at that time, in my opinion. But then, even Insidious came out, and then Sinister came out, and it was like Sinister was probably the first new age movie where I was like, this is horror.
This is good.
This is good.
Yeah.
I love Ethan Hawke though. I think he's a great actor. He's so good. So good.
His character was well written. Everything was great. It was. And it's just got that. It does have that classic horror movie trope where like there's so many things telling this guy, you need to stop.
Yeah.
You need to cut this out.
Keeps going.
And he just keeps.
And I'm all into it. And it's like, even though I'm afraid a little bit, I'm like, well, now I got to know what's going on.
He's got to know
how long has this been going on.
He thinks he's gonna put him back on top, and it was a hell of a thought. Because when they found the films going back decades, it's like he did kind of like, whoa, this is way bigger than just this one murder.
Yeah.
So, it's just that classic horror movie trope where like everyone's like, you should run. And then that scene where he's like, get the kids, we're leaving. And then she's kind of just staring at him like, go now. And I'm just like, whoa, like you said, Ethan Hawke, excellent actor.
He's so good.
I was just like, he had me in the palm of his hand in that scene. It was like he was just devastated, like, oh,
Figuring out.
shit.
There's no way.
He's so
He
is so afraid. And I'm getting the goosebumps. But I saw it in theaters too, and I was like, this movie,
That's one of the things that are like, that's theater movie. When you see it in theaters,
because it's not as well. Maybe because I've watched it a couple times now. Like now I know.
what's going to happen.
Like, okay, it's okay. It's okay. But.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, classic.
That was a good second.
I'm glad you said it. Well, I'm glad you said it because like it's not in mine.
That was third pick.
Who was your second?
Night of the Living Dead.
No, it was your first.
Rose Red.
Oh, was that your first?
Oh, I thought that was a movie that you kind of like watched that got you into movies.
No, that's probably like.
One of your favorite?
That's probably like current.
Oh, okay.
I could like it's different. It's like I've probably seen it a couple, maybe once a month. Like Night of the Living Dead is like I'm not really watching it through and through because I've seen it already so many times. It's more of like
okay, so we're two behind then.
Go ahead, Mark. You go two.
My second one. This was so hard. But I also chose a zombie movie. I chose 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later is one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. It was so well done. And for how old it is too. Because I think it came out in 2002 or 3.
That sounds about right.
And it was just for that time. I think I had it written down too. 2002. So like for that time, what it was,
that doesn't even seem like that bad. I think
it still holds up to this day,
in
my opinion. And like the scene where they're in the house and you think everything's okay, and then the zombie comes out and
those were like aggressive.
Yeah.
Those
I guess he wakes up from his coma and he's like, which is so crazy. So I wonder where Walking Dead got it from.
Walking Dead is an original idea, Mark. They didn't steal shit from anyone.
No, I love The Walking Dead. I watch it.
I'm just kidding. I don't give a shit.
I love Walking Dead. No, but it's just like the world, you walk outside and there's no one around. Like the world pretty much looks like it's ended, and then like you're trying to talk to someone, they're a fucking zombie.
Yeah. I feel like they've actually done that a couple times before 28 Days In, but I think as long as you do it well,
If you do it well, you can pull it.
It's like just the suspense, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Well,
it's like the instant turn of the zombie. I think what was the part where the blood drops in the
on the guy's eye.
yeah.
Oh, that broke my heart, man. I love that. Remember when he woke him up? Because Jim, the main character, I can't remember his real name. Who gives a shit? He's like asleep and he's having a night. He's like, ooh, ooh. And the guy's like, you right? He's like, thanks, Dad. And I was like, well, they're gonna be a family. See, guys, everything's gonna work out. The next day, God damn it! Oh my God.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work out. That is
No. Well, now they're talking about making 28 years later because you have 28 weeks later. Now they're talking about 28
They're stupid. They
years
should do
later.
28 months later.
I don't know if it's coming into...
Yeah.
Well, because it's been so long. When did...
How many years is 28 months?
28
Oh, it's just like 2 years and 4 months. We'll set it back time. Set it back to
But
2006.
maybe the original character's coming back. And...
Alright, that's fine. They can pretend to put in the future, so that would be 28 years later would be 2030. That's not bad.
Right.
Maybe we'll have flying cars by now.
So that was my number 2. My number 3, this was so hard. I think because I'm going to do a newer movie instead of going old school, because I was going to do Halloween, the original, because it is classic.
Okay.
Classic.
And I love that movie. I really do. I love Michael Myers. But I think I'm going to go differently. I'm going to pick Creep. It came out in 2018. It was like a found footage type of movie. It is... That's
that's
the
good.
actor.
I can't believe that's in your third.
Yeah.
He is so good, and he makes you uncomfortable.
Oh, he is so good.
And I laughed, and while I'm laughing, I think it was like almost a nervous laugh too, because I'm like, I'm so uncomfortable right now, but this is kind of funny.
Real, because it's on like the one.
Yes, he's always so close to him. He's smiling all the time.
And then you're just like,
You're my best friend.
I'm just kidding. And then he like stalks him. It's that guy. Oh, it's so good. I love because this is a newer movie that I watched. Like I didn't
watch it till last year.
I texted him when I watched it. I'm like, you have to watch this movie. It's so good. They actually have a Creep 2 that I haven't watched yet, but I hear it's almost better than the first one.
So I have to watch that. Yeah.
So I'm definitely watching it.
I'll check it out.
Okay.
And I just he's so good. It's just such a good movie. It's so well done. And I'm not like found footage to me like you. Sometimes I'm mad at it. You know, but that
takes me a little bit
movie.
to try to keep up with
Yeah.
everything.
Absolutely. So Creep's a classic. Creep's in there. Yeah, and I agree. I didn't see that till last year. It's definitely people are talking about it for sure, but it's not a super popular
It's
film.
not, and I didn't even really know about it until I saw. I'm like, I'm gonna try it, and I.
Well, I know
that movie.
that guy, the director. He has a Duplass. I think that's his name, Mark Duplass, or something like that. He has a twin brother, and I know him from The League, which is a silly dumb
yeah.
If you don't like fantasy football, I still suggest watching it because I don't know
funny.
anything about fantasy
It's
football.
still funny.
I don't play fantasy football.
Yeah.
And it's pretty frustrating. But I see this guy, I'm like, I saw it, and then I never watched it. I was like, well, that's weird. And then Mark was like, you need to watch it. Shit. But no, it was worth it, 100%. One of the best newer movies, and just he's a genius. For me, I think my second one was it. Like I told her, it's just like things that I rewatched a bunch of times, and like for me, number 2 was it's an older one than Omen. My dad put that movie on. I remember I told you my dad puts these movies on, and then he falls asleep 10 minutes in, and I have to watch it by myself.
This is a little torture.
my dad is he likes to fall asleep with the TV. He's an old guy, and I just remember watching it, and it was one of those things where it was like I'm young and I go to church, and it was just all these things, and like they would talk about Bible verses, and I would look up like, this is real. That says it in the Bible. And then that, as a kid, when you're like,
see it it's like,
well, it does say this.
Yeah. No.
Put that away. And then, yeah, I just remember being totally afraid. I think what you said about the kids. I was younger when I saw The Omen.
The Shining, the twins.
Pale. Like, the paler they are, the more I'm like, something's wrong with that kid. Get some time. But he had the midnight black hair. It was pure. Like,
did he have mushroom? No, I think
it was like
that.
No, it was like very 80s, 70s, like a Greg Stever, like a Greg Brady haircut. It was It was like very of the time.
Deep sunken eyes, like you haven't been sleeping.
They picked the best kid. Like this kid, just the way he just said, like, yeah, honey, just stand over there and just don't say anything and just stare at the camera.
Good.
This guy's got it. Let him get it. Tell his parents. This guy's. I mean, he is so creepy. And just like you're going through the movie, just like the guy, it starts off so tragic, and then it's like, okay, well, we'll adopt this kid. He lost his mother. Where everything's so happy and so sweet, everything's great, and then it's just you just find out that you're like totally screwed.
It was the scene at his birthday party.
This will fall all the time. She'll be like, "It's all for you, honey."
Yeah.
That's what they mean. Like, it's all for you, honey. It's
For
like,
you, Damien.
oh my god, that's like. I'm a kid, and I just watched this chick jump to her death by hanging.
Yeah.
And then the dogs, like how the dogs listen to her.
What emotional, like, let's face, like, there's no emotion.
Yeah, there's no emotion.
He thinks this shit's okay.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
It was nuts. And then they just start to find out more and more. The grave side where they open the grave and, like, the mom is it's like a big giant skeleton of a dog. I saw that, and I think I went to the bathroom. I tapped out for a second. I was like, which one of his mom's a dog? Like, I'm a child. I don't understand what the hell is going on. And then he's like, oh, well, what if the second one's empty? My kid will be out. And then it's even with the crap. And then he finds out that it was all a ploy from the very beginning. They chose him, and it's bigger than he ever would have. Anyway, that movie, once again, fear.
I gotta watch that. It's been a while.
And then
what I like about The Omen too, like, and this is what I like a lot about horror movies. I don't like when the good guy always wins. In The Omen, the good guy doesn't win in the end.
No, we don't like that.
So, you know what? I'm
think it's in a ooh, yes, I didn't see that. So then it's like, oh, there goes that sequel.
Yeah.
And Scream 2 it's happened, right? Doesn't he pop up in the middle of the end, or Halloween, or somebody pops up in the end?
In Scream, Billy Loomis, Jamie Kennedy says, "This is the part where the killer comes back," and Billy Loomis is such a dick. He's like, "Ah!" That's all he does. He doesn't try to do it. He just like, and she puts one in between his eyes, and it's like,
well, that's what people too are talking. They're hoping that if they make another Scream movie, that Stu Macher comes back because he didn't do that last scare. And I'm like, I don't know.
You know how heavy TVs were in the 90s?
Oh, that thing.
That TV weighed 100 pounds.
Box. That's what they call it, a box.
And it fell from like 2 or 3 feet onto his face. He's dead. Whatever, it's fine. You know what? I can't wait. No, he walked away.
He's fine.
You did hear him like, I did hear him like moan out. I was like, he could be alive. He was hilarious when he was slowly bleeding out. When he's like, and then when he throws the phone, it's like, you didn't even throw me, dick! I'm busting a cat like
a teenager, and he pulls it off. So it's such a teenage thing to say.
And it's a great movie. That's why I made the list. But yeah, The Omen, and it just sort of we talked about the music. It has that. It has that weird, like, religious, like, creepy. I think a real movie. I love a movie that has a good
sound,
a good soundtrack, a good little creepy thing. And The Omen has it. Rewatch it. You should. I think it holds up.
But the original, not the remake.
The remake
is literally shot for shot. Remake of the original. They didn't do anything different.
They just updated the quality.
Yeah,
that's
guys,
right.
It's worse than you think. The movie companies, the producers, they're like, okay, what are we gonna do? Oh, we're gonna reboot The Omen. Excellent. Start working on this. Well, hold on, I have an idea. We'll release it on June 6th for that little stick. That was the reason they rushed everything and they just did a shot for shot because they loved that release date, the 666. They wanted to be so fucking cute that they shit all over a great film. Mark is correct when she says shot for shot the exact same film. Yeah, but the special effects,
They're trash.
Stop.
I haven't seen it.
Stop.
That's okay.
Don't you?
I am just so we can debate about this because I might like it. You know?
Okay.
I might like
What's
it.
your third favorite? What's your third favorite?
If you like it, I will eat a rock on camera.
On camera.
I'm just gonna say I like it right now so I can watch
No, I didn't say it was like a rock, so it might be a crack rock.
Holy shit. You heard it here.
Here, folks. Crack rock.
rocks.
My third was very hard. I don't know. It kind of was like what OB was talking about. Like her first one became. She talked about it. I feel like, believe it or not, like I wanted to pick like vampires, zombie, monsters. But I feel like one of my favorite horror movies. It's so silly. It's so stupid. It shouldn't be in this list, but I've watched it so many times. The Lost Boys.
Oh.
Me and my sister watched the shit out of that movie every summer when we first saw the movie 12 or 13. When it was summertime, you put on Lost Boys. You put on Lost Boys. My sister started, we used to reference that movie all the time. She would come in, like when we got into college, she started hanging out with these friends. One of them was filthy rich, and she wouldn't come home sometimes till the morning. And it was different for us because we never really went there. It was Christian high school, Christian junior high school, Christian college. But she would just stay up late, whatever. She said they were just watching movies. Bullshit. And she would come in, and every time she came in, she had sunglasses on. And I always used to be like, come sit down. Let's talk. Because I would be up. I was home. I wasn't out. I like to sleep. So I'm eating breakfast, and I'd be like, come sit down. Sit next to me. And like, are we friends? And she's like, John, I'm tired. It's like, well, let's talk like friends. What'd you do last? Did you have fun? And I would that classic scene where he comes in and he's all like fucked up and his mom's like, hi, sweetie, let's talk. It's like, Mom, I'm a vampire. I don't want to need this shit. I don't need to talk to you right now. And it's just that weird little funny awkward scene that I used to put her through that every time she stood out. I just love that movie. Corey Feldman's in it. Corey Haim's in it. It's such an 80s, silly, fun movie. But there is a lot of like legit scary shit where the shots where the camera's coming, you don't see them flying, but you see them descend on people. It's just like intense. What's his name? David, the head vampire. He has his makeup. He's such a weird looking dude. Keep yourself on.
Yeah.
He is such a weird looking. 24. He was first this badass vampire, and they had those vampire contacts, but they were made. They weren't made of like
the soft. Yeah, they were
glass.
Yeah.
And
that's what contacts used to be before. I never knew that. That's how young we are.
There's a shot where he gets caught by the sun, and he has a tear come out, and it's like, what a shot!
Yeah.
And it was real because his eyes were fucking dying under that glass.
Yeah.
But I love that movie so much. I love the soundtrack. I love the 80s-ness of it. I love how they all band together to fight these vampires.
The dressing with Ace.
Oh my god! I love the 80s. The hair! I love
fire juice. I don't know what the fuck they kept that up.
I love the 80s. And that movie is a horror movie, but it is so dipped in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite movies of all
It's like a classic. It's a
I
good
love
classic
It is,
vampire.
that's actually a really good. That's a
It's not
good
like the consistent like old vampire. With
Yeah, it was the new age. It was like also play on the like. That's why it's called the Lost Boys. You know, it's like I think that's what they were trying to go. I think I heard it somewhere. It's like Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. They didn't want to grow up.
They
Like a dark Peter Pan.
It's a dark look on that because they don't want to grow up. That's what he says to him. He says, "You'll never grow up. You'll never grow old, and you'll never die."
Bite me.
No,
Bite me. I'm eating everybody.
does not everyone go through that point in their life where it's like they're getting old?
Listen, we don't have vampires offering us eternal life.
But you don't even have to get bitten in that movie. You just got to drink some bomb-ass wine. Remember that sweet bottle?
Yeah.
I mean, that was another thing I liked about it. It was like you said, like when you said, like it wasn't like an old, they updated. It's like, well, I don't need to bite you.
Bit in the neck.
You have a drink. That such a good movie. It was definitely. I wrestled with it, just like
It's always nice when they when they do something different,
Absolutely.
and it's not like you were saying the traditional. Oh, let me bite you, and
Your blood.
like, you'll turn.
Or
And,
like, I bite you, you bite me, right?
Yeah.
The Queen of the Damned, right? Like,
Queen of the Damned.
we're gonna talk about that. Rest your soul, yeah.
I think that all the time.
Listening every day.
Yeah. Just absolutely classic. Yeah, just a new take on it, and I don't know. It's like because it's like kind of like blowing out, like that race they do on the beach, and it's like the 80s music gets pumping, and like keeps on. It's like, come on, David, come on, and he almost goes over the cliff, and they're like, what the hell, bro? And they just start pushing each other, and it's just so much masculinity. How is he gonna be like, come over here, I want to show you something, and then eventually put the moves on him to bite his neck, because that's what it was. Dracula would seduce these women, he would get them in, and then he would bite them. How are you going to do that? Two girls hanging out, you can't do that. But you can have some sweet-ass wine over Chinese food.
Yeah.
That one's Michael.
That's just a little bit more subtle. You know?
Yeah.
I thought it's sexier.
I feel like it's 20.
I think it's sexier than...
I think that's what you're turning. Honestly, I think that's how they would do it today. Put it in the shot glass. Here, drink this.
Exactly.
You'll like it, I promise.
They actually did do sequels to that movie where it did become a drug. That's how they were turning people into vampires, with drugs. And that's how it was. It was just like easy to turn people. Like, here, try this. Like, what is this new drug? Sweet. And they would just like all run to it. I think it was the third one. Yes, Corey Feldman was in it. Yes, I knew you were going to ask that. Was he in all three of them? Yes.
Corey Feldman
Probably.
he's probably a little desperate for something.
Didn't he die, or was the other Corey?
No, Corey Haim died.
Okay.
Corey
Corey
Feldman.
Feldman's the one who shit on him the second he was dead and said he was like...
Oh, weird.
They had that like tell-all. You heard about the tell-all?
Yeah, and
their
like,
lives going up, and it was always Corey Haim was doing weird stuff, or Corey Haim was getting sexually abused. Corey Feldman was just getting hit on by really hot chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which made me wait.
He's like, yeah.
Okay, Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
It was all you, because I was the Corey Haim guy.
Yeah.
I loved him.
Yeah.
I loved him. Corey Feldman was just like that weird, like
He was the weird one.
he was the weird one with the frog.
Yeah.
Just the weird. Corey Haim was like R.I.P. man.
Corey Feldman, he was in one of the Friday the 13th.
Yeah, he was in the fourth one. He was
The
the
fourth
kid.
one?
I think it was the fourth one where, like, at the end he shaves his head. And he's killing-
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the fourth one. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was the fourth
I
one.
think you're right. I think you're right.
Because it was one of the earlier ones, and then in the fifth one, they choose a new guy. They want him older. Corey Haim's out. It's like, too young, bitch. And they have an old one. But yeah, Corey Haim was in the he's young as hell.
He was
too.
young in that.
He's cute. And he's cute and good. He was cute. He was cute.
He
yeah.
was, yeah.
Gremlins. He was in Gremlins. He was around the same
that.
age. He was love Gremlins. But yeah, he was just this. He was a superstar. 100%. But anyway, Lost Boys. Check it out.
Yeah.
Good movie.
It's a good movie. These were good. I'm glad we didn't pick the same movie.
We took good time thinking
I
about
think I was worried. I think I was worried for a second, but then no. We all have different tastes.
You two. I feel like I'm on a different.
So
novel.
when we were gonna start the podcast, it was just gonna be me and Hernandez.
Yeah.
And we were gonna talk about these horror movies because we watch them and we text each other, "Hey, did you see this movie?" And then we talk about it. And then I just brought up what if we just did a podcast
And talked about it. Yeah.
And then Obi came over and we were telling her about it. She's like, oh, I love horror movies. And she started talking about the horror movies she watches. And I looked at him like, we need another perspective on this. Because
wild, ridiculous.
We agree on a
The wild card.
Yeah, the wild, no, 100%. Some of the things you said, I was like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. But no, Mark's absolutely right. I think we would agree, I wouldn't say too much, but it would be like, movie, it's cool, right? Yeah, it's super cool, right? Love that part. You love that part? Oh, I love that part.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, all right, that's this episode, guys. We loved it. We thought it was great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it might have been like that. But, yeah, I think it's good to get a different perspective.
Yeah.
And 100%. Yeah. And like I said, I don't care. She could shit on all the movies I liked, for sure. I mean, Rose Red.
But like I said, we talked about it. I'd share it, but best believe it, I've watched it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if I should have never watched it, then like...
Oh, no, you gotta watch it.
Exactly.
I wanted to shit on a movie that we'll be talking about soon. I wanted to, and I told Mark, I was like, I even told Chris, I was like, I'm not gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch a couple scenes and just bullshit my way through it. But I'm gonna say negative things on it. I need to watch it. If I'm gonna say negative things, I gotta watch
I'm
it.
anticipating what this is. It's
yeah.
I feel it. He directed his attention.
Oh man.
We have a lot of good episodes coming up. It's gonna be
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, listen in.
Yeah. If you guys are, want to have a good time, you should listen and watch.
And do what we say.
Yeah.
Just gotta throw that in.
Bye.